I know. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Board of County Commissioners zoning hearing on Thursday, August 22nd, 2024. We are commencing at 9:30 a.m. And if we could have Madam Clerk give us the roll call.
Commissioner Barnett, Commissioner Baxter,
Baxter?
Yes, she's here.
Commissioner Bernard,
Bernard?
Oh, here.
Vice Mayor Marino,
We're all here.
Mayor Sachs,
Here.
Commissioner Weiss,
Here.
Commissioner Woodward. Thank you.
Let the record reflect that Commissioner Barnett is on his way and Commissioner Woodward is excused for today. So we are going to have someone do the prayer, and I see a number of preachers right here, one to my right. So I wonder, Vice Mayor, could you lead us in the prayer and the invocation? Thank you.
Just add preacher to the resume. Thank you all. If you bow your heads, if you can stand, if you can. We gathered today to do the business of government, but let us not forget that we serve the people and take everyone into consideration when we make our decisions. And prayers to all that are in harm's way, who are defending us and giving us the freedom to do what we are doing here. And in that I say amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If I may comment, Vice Mayor, you've got a tremendous talent for leading folks in prayer. You know, you can always join a religious group. Thank you for that, for doing it impromptu. All right, we're going to move right along with notice, as this is a zoning hearing. Do we have notice to everybody?
We do have notice.
Very good, thank you. And we have proof of publication. I could have a motion to receive and file. So moved. Very good. Do we need a second? I see a second by my Vice Mayor. All those for, anybody opposed, see that it passes unanimously. Since this is a zoning hearing, all those who are going to testify today, if you could stand and be sworn in by the clerk of the court.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
Okay, we are moving right now on to any amendments to the agenda at all. Do we have any amendments to the agenda?
Yes, we do have a few amendments to our agenda. Item number 1, DOA 2023-952, the Salvation Army. We have an amendment to the Zoning Commission history date. Item number 2, DOA 2023-1335, Palm Beach Logistics Center, modifying Exhibit C to add in landscape perimeter condition number 1. Item number 3, SVCA 2024-590, Project Charlie. We're modifying Exhibit C2, splitting up a landscape condition into 2 separate conditions for 2 ones. On the regular agenda, under B9, PDD-CA 2022-1922 Boynton Place MUPD, there is a correction to the motion. And then if you flip the page, item number 10, LGA 2024-3 Bednar's Market. There's also some modifications to the motion, the first motion and a new motion.
Very good. Thank you very much for that. Are there any postponements, remands, or withdrawals from the agenda?
None.
Very good. We are going to adopt the agenda as described. Very good. We have a first, the Vice Mayor, the second. Mr. Rutter, could you remove that file from there so the clerk and I can make eye contact? Appreciate it. All those for, anybody opposed? See that it passes unanimously, 5-0. Okay, moving right along. Now we're going to go on to the consent agenda. Looking at the consent agenda, we do have a card on one of the items to the consent agenda, and we could probably hear it before we decide to accept the consent agenda. So if Mr. Weiss, Commissioner Weiss, if you could please read it.
Thank you. It looks like Larry Cortez he would like to speak on this.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. Identify yourself, please.
My name is Larry Cortez. I'm an attorney. I represent Forest Glen Property Owners Association, and they are the community association, the only community association that's going to be impacted by the change. And so the official position of the association is to oppose the change. The primary concern that they have is all of the children from that community, when they go to the bus stop on Military Trail in Orleans, they're walking past this, right? The concern is probably a lot of the businesses are not early morning there now, the traffic there. But when you install this facility with the business hours that they propose, you're going to have a lot of that traffic pouring in this road, coming into the facility at the very same time that you have a high volume of children walking to Military and to the corner of
Could you
Military
tell
and
us, sir,
Orleans.
and I'll give you an extra time, could you tell us exactly which item on the consent agenda? You're on 3A?
I'm on 3A.
Okay, very good, sir. Thank you.
And so that's the concern. It's disruptive, and again, the safety is a primary concern. Currently, that roadway, Orleans, leading into the community already experiences a speeding problem. The county has, for reasons outside of our discussion here today, the county has not permitted speed bumps or any other speed mitigating devices there. So the concern is that this additional or this replacement development will simply add or certainly not help the current speeding problem along Orleans. So Forest Glen Property Owners Association does oppose the approval.
All right. Anybody have any questions or comments? I'd like to pull this.
Yep. I'll
from
go
the
ahead.
consent.
I'll ask that we pull this item.
Okay.
So we're going to pull it.
We're going to pull it and open it up for discussion, sir.
All right.
Okay?
Thank you. I appreciate your time.
That's right, quite all right. So let the record reflect that 3A from the consent agenda has been pulled to be part of the regular agenda. And looking at the consent agenda as discussed, does anybody else wish to pull any other item?
No, but I'll make a motion that we accept the consent agenda minus item 3.
All right.
And we need disclosures for the consent items?
We need disclosures.
Disclosures are important. We're going to do that right now, but knowing that we have already a first on this issue, why don't we start with Commissioner Baxter on disclosures?
On disclosures, Mayor?
Yes, to the consent agenda.
Correct. So on number 5, Suncrest Ridge, I had verbal communication with Brian Seymour, Richard Ward, Jeff Brody. And I believe that was it for consent.
Very good. Commissioner Bernard.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. On item 4, I've received correspondence, and that's all the disclosures. Thank you.
Very good. Commissioner Weiss.
Thank you, Mayor. On item number 1, I received email correspondence. On item number 3, I had verbal communication with Ramsey Bulkley, and my staff spoke with Yohan Machado. On item number 4, I received email correspondence, and that is the extent of disclosures for the consent agenda.
Very good. Let the record reflect that Commissioner Barnett is now present. Vice Mayor Marino, disclosures, please.
Thank you. On the consent agenda, I only have correspondence, email correspondence for item 4.
Very good. We're going to wait until the end of this for Commissioner Barnett for his disclosures, unless Unless you're ready right now, sir.
Tell them it's not close down the firehouse, the courthouse.
You know, we can wait, because I'll tell you what, for the mayor's disclosures, I'm going to wait to the end. I have a new staff and going to make sure everything is just perfect before I give my disclosures. So, with that in mind, we have pardon me? Without disclosures? Okay, is that true? Can I wait until after we accept the consent agenda, Mr. Attorney?
Disclosures need to occur before the vote is taken.
Okay, before the vote is taken. Okay. Well, then, I will do my disclosures at this time. Commissioner Barnett, are you ready for your disclosures?
Yes, I am, Mayor, and thank you for your indulgence. My apologies
That's right,
for
don't
my
worry.
tardiness. For item number 1, I have written correspondence. For item number 2, written correspondence. Item number 3, no disclosures. 3 is being pulled, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Item number 4, I do have written correspondence. 6 and 7, no disclosures.
Okay, very good. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
sir.
Okay.
And from the mayor's office, we have written correspondence on items number 1 and number 2. On number 3, which is, that's the one that we're pulling. So on item number 4, I have written correspondence, no site visits. The same thing with 5, nothing on 6, and nothing on 7. We have a first. Do we have a second? I have a second from Commissioner Baxter. All those for, anybody opposed? See that it passes 6-0. Thank
Mayor?
you. Yes, sir.
May I make an amendment?
You, absolutely.
Item number 5 is on consent. I need to make my disclosure for item number 5. Verbal communications with Richard Ward, Brian Seymour, and Jeff Brophy.
Very good.
Thank you.
So the record will note that. Okay, I think we're ready for, to review item number 3 that has been pulled. And would staff like to start this?
Well, we'll have the applicant give a presentation to start on number 3.
Okay, very good. Thank you. On 3? Okay. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Joel Machado, Senior Project Manager with WGI, here representing the applicant.
Very good.
Good morning, Commissioners. So before you today is a project known as Project Charlie. The subject site is 3.43 acres located just west of Military Trail, complete surrounded by right-of-ways on Military, Orleans, Lexington, and Gulf. Before you today, the request is for a Class A conditional use to allow the repair and maintenance heavy within the CG zoning district, existing zoning district, a subdivision variance to waive the requirement to provide sidewalks along Lexington Avenue, a subdivision variance to reduce the required amount of pavement by 5.5 feet, a type 1 waiver to relocate to reduce the required amount of off-street parking, and a type 1 waiver to allow the relocation of foundation planting. Staff has evaluated the request and has found it in compliance with the code, and the applicant is in agreement with the conditions of approval, including those added to the add-delete agenda. And Zoning Commission, during our first hearing, recommended approval of the request. During Zoning Commission, there was a gentleman from the adjacent community that did speak with concerns to traffic, and I will get to that in a moment. So again, the property is zone CG and has an IND land use, so carried on Military Trail, completely surrounded by other commercial properties. There's a subject site and the residential community to the west. There are 8 vehicle repair, maintenance, and part sales uses within a quarter mile of the subject site, all up and down the military corridor. To date, the site was originally rezoned from R1 to C1 neighborhood commercial back in December of '67. In January of '68, the Palm Beach County Board of County Commissioners, by resolution, approved the vacation of a portion of right-of-way that existed within the site, and the site has been in that configuration since. Just a little bit of history on the property. Since '87, you can see the changes in conditions before the improvements and the expansions of the airport, but has been in that configuration and with the uses since then. The current building on site is shown in that configuration again since '85, with no significant changes other than the airport expansions. You can see a side-by-side on that. The proposed in front of you today is to demolish the existing structure and replace it with a brand new 37,000 square feet building, centrally located almost. It's a tit for tat. The existing square footage is around 39,000 square feet of retail and commercial activities, proposing 37,000 square feet of vehicle repair and sales. Vehicle repair and maintenance with its associated parking. The site existing today is 100 or almost 100% impervious. We are reducing that by providing on-site drainage, increasing the landscape buffer. The conditions of approval are for the increase of landscape buffer in addition to keeping the buffers and the trees that already exist on site. And it is a significant reduction on trips by reducing square footage and the intensity of the use. It is for vehicle repair. Most of the vehicles that will come in here will come via transport trucks, and 9 times out of 10 will be on flatbeds. The site doesn't lend itself for transport vehicles. All the repairs will be happening inside the building, acknowledging that we have the neighborhood to the west. We have set the building as closest to Military Trail as we possibly can. During the reviews by staff and all the other agencies, we had a request by DOT to close the access point off of Military Trail. As by code, they are trying to reduce the number of curb cuts on major arterial collector streets and put everything on Orleans. We had meetings with DOT and settled on keeping the ingress and egress access point on Orleans and turning the Military Trail access to an egress only. Now, I want to say that to the neighborhood's concerns of children accessing their bus stops on Military Trail, currently there's only one sidewalk on the north side of Orleans. Our proposed development is proposing, and you can see it on the north end of the site, we are proposing to build a brand new sidewalk on our side, on the south side of Orleans, connecting to a dead-end sidewalk that they have at the end of their subdivision to bring the kids safely so that they're not walking on grass or having to cross streets to walk back the street, having direct access to Military Trail. Again, this will be a reduction on general trips based on the current use, on the proposed use. As I said before, all the activities will be happening inside the building, will be contained within the building. You can see that by the overhead, the doors that will access the vehicles to come into the building. And we have ingress and egress on Orleans. What you're seeing today is slightly different from what it is on your package because we already accepted a condition of approval from DOT to turn the access on Military Trail to an egress only. So this is what that site will look like. Currently, the site plan shows ingress and egress, but we are in agreement to, at time of final DRO, when we come back to get the plan approved, turn that ingress into an egress only, and then an egress only channelized on Gulf Street as well. This is sort of the traffic pattern as it comes into the site. There will be no ingress coming off of Gulf. All of it will be coming on that end, but again, it'll be predominantly just the employees that will be coming here, as the cars that get dropped off will be dropped off via transport. There is the neighborhood to the west should not feel the effect. If anything, will be a reduction again on vehicles on Orleans, and no changes outside of the sidewalk to the west half of Orleans, Lexington, or Gulf. The vehicle area for where the vehicles will be stored prior to entering the service will be on the west half of the site, and that would be fenced and secured, in addition to the landscape around the perimeter. And there is highlighting the sidewalk that comes out of Forest Glen community having a dead end at Lexington, and we're just proposing to continue it. I do want to say that this project is a partnership with BDB, and it has a significant impact on qualified and good jobs to the county. This is a target industry that we're looking to bring into the county as well, with clean energy, green technologies, with average about 60 new jobs and over $2 million worth of economic impact. Again, staff reviewed the application in all of its merit against the ULDC and recommended approval subject to the conditions of approvals on the staff report. We are in complete agreement with those conditions, and so did the Zoning Commission. Here to answer any questions that there may be.
Very good. Any members of this board have any questions? Okay, very good. We're going to start with Commissioner Weiss.
Thank you. After hearing from our first speaker on this, would you have any objections to requirement to add a speed hump to the road or to fund it? I'm asking the applicant.
We
would fund that.
We wouldn't be opposed.
Okay, good.
Subject to land development and traffic. I don't know if they said that they approached the county before and they wouldn't permit it. So if it's a possibility, we can explore that. Yes.
Thank you.
Of course.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay. We have a number of cards. We can hear from staff, or we can go through the cards first, whatever your pleasure is. Staff, would you like to give us your presentation first?
It's up to the will of the board. If you'd like to see staff, we have Matthew Boyd here, who's prepared to present, if you'd like a staff presentation.
I'd like a staff presentation at this time. Is that okay with everybody right now? Very good. Sir, good morning.
Good morning. Matthew Boyd with the Zoning Division. I'm the PM on this project. Project Charlie has 3 requests. 2 are for the subdivision variance. 2 were for the subdivision variance, which engineering, land development can go over further. They were approved by the Zoning Commission on the 1st of August. What we're here today for is the Class A conditional use to allow a heavy repair and maintenance facility. The facility is located west of on the west side of Military Trail, at 1,700 feet south of Belvedere Road. It's commercial, located in commercial high, industrial, future land use. The facility itself is, the facility itself is located on 3.42 acres, the site, and it has, as indicated, access off of Orleans Court, then egress only off of Military Trail and Gulf Street. There is condition for, which is already shown, the applicant already shown, there's a condition for, by FDOT for them to change the ingress, egress on Military Trail to a egress only. if the based on the ULDC and staff's review and the conditions in Exhibit C1 provided to the commissioners, staff has recommended approval of this request.
Very good. Any questions or comments by members of the board? I have one, sir.
Yes.
The applicant stated that there was a change from what we have received on our, in our presentation and our packet that you
Yes.
presented to us.
Yes,
Could you
well,
make sure that you designate what that change was so that
That
we know
change-
from our own records?
Yes, that change is the condition in C1 from an engineering condition that came from FDOT's condition to change that the military trail access to a egress only.
Okay.
And
Can you show us where is there a school bus stop on site or close to on site? Could you show us where that is, sir?
If there's a visual of the site, so I think the neighbor is saying that the bus stop would be, I don't have the
Pointer?
but someone could point to
I'm
it, or
seeing the
Johan
kids.
could show, or there we go, a little further north, correct? That's where the bus stop is? Is that where Johan? And that's exactly the corridor where we're proposing now to add a condition of approval. We have one prepared to read into the record to do speed humps along that street and to ensure, that traffic is slowed down.
Is that military right there?
That's
Military
Military
Trail,
Trail,
yes, it's
and
right
the
here.
Military Trail.
east-west street name is
Orleans.
Orleans.
Orleans, pardon me? Yes, I see that.
so
But-
this is Orleans here, this is Lexington,
Right,
and then this is Gulf Street.
okay.
So
Commissioner Weiss,
con-
well, hold on just a second.
Sorry.
Did you want to ask something about the school district?
I have some things to say about that.
Okay, all right, okay. Sir,
So we have conditioned the applicant to provide additional vegetation along Lexington Avenue
yes?
to help buffer the separation between the two uses.
And how about along Orleans as well?
Orleans, as the applicant has stated, we are requiring them to maintain the existing vegetation that is currently on site.
So the vegetation that you, sir, have committed to do along, not on Orleans, but I'm not quite sure the name of the other street that's probably to the west, would be large native trees, not small little bushes.
Correct. So the idea is that this property has been in existence and in that configuration again since the 80s, with little to no improvements. The code has changed since the 80s. We are cognizant of the existing vegetation, and we're going to plant the right-of-way buffers as required by today's code on all right-of-ways, Military, Orleans, Lexington, and Gulf,
Excellent,
and work the new vegetation around the existing vegetation.
very good, okay, thank you. Any other questions at this time? It could be later on as we hear the public. Very good, thank you, sir. There's no questions at this time.
No problem.
Thank you. Okay, Commissioner Weiss is going to read the cards, and Vice Mayor Marino is going to do the timer.
Thank you, Mayor. So I have two cards here that are non-speaking cards that we'll get to, but I have one card that didn't note whether they wanted to speak or not. This is from Naomi Jean Lewis. Did you wish to speak, or you just read into the record? You didn't note on your card whether you wished to speak or it just to be read in?
She passes.
Okay. All right. Then the next card to speak is Alex Larson.
Hold your breath.
I'm sure we're
Hold your breath. Good morning, ma'am. You're recognized.
Morning. That was a hell of an agenda to read last night. Just letting you know.
Thank you.
I hope hell isn't a bad word. My concern is Haverhill's nearby. You know, there's regular houses nearby at Military, and when you go west, you're hitting into Haverhill. They're large lots. They're on wells. And somebody said, well, there's a lot of industrial here. Let's add some more. So these are my concerns about groundwater and the different things that are happening in our world right now with the heat, because pipes are breaking and blowing up and all kinds of weird stuff's going on. And I don't think we have a grasp of that yet. I don't think any of us do. You know, none of us are scientists. I'm not. I'll be the first to admit it. But I do have concerns about the exits, more exits onto Military, more traffic. You should have seen the hell I came through this morning with the courthouse being shut down. That was so much fun, because when incidents happen, we have a lot of traffic, a lot of backups, a lot of incidents, a lot of people banging into each other. So this is the thing, because they said it's, you know, they're going to put in the stuff, and FDOT wanted them to move their exit. So you've got Orleans, you've got Lexington, and you got Gulf. So, and I have a feeling that the sad suspicion of me is everything that's built in this county gets a variance or gets an extension for 5 years. Or, you know, it's 3-year extensions. This is what happens in the zoning agendas. So hopefully you'll look into that. Like, are we shovel ready? Are we doing this? Or everything. Are we gonna avoid this and we'll be dealing with it 5 years from now? So hopefully you'll look into that, commissioners.
Thank you.
All right, we have three non-speaking cards. Naomi Jean Lewis, worried about children crossing the street to take the school bus. It looks like Nortej Moncour, concerned about property values and safety of the elementary age students who get off the bus. And last is Christina Mendez. I'm a resident of Forest Glens on Orleans Court. I wish to oppose the construction of a large mechanic warehouse in place of the Salvation Army. So those are all the cards we have on this item.
All right. Does,
May I use the balance of my time?
sir, do you wish to be recognized on this, at this point? Okay. All right, you may come forward. If you could, please, we're going to start with 3. State your name for the record again, please.
Yes. So my name again is Larry Cortez. I'm the attorney for Forest Glen Property Owners Association. I want, in hearing the applicant's presentation, I can see that there's an incredible amount of work that goes on. Your time is valuable in terms of hearing this multiple times in different capacities, staff's time. And there was apparently the very formulistic effort to reach out to my client, and that was apparently fruitless. My client, if you can tell from the area, this is not an affluent community. I'm here pro bono, right? Because I've represented this community for about 15 years now. And upon hearing this inkling about this is going to happen with what I know is probably not organized, meaningful input on their part, my firm and my name are the registered agent for this association. They could have found us, talked to us, made the effort to make sure that Forest Glen was heard on this. I have no doubt, again, that the formal efforts were made. I drove through last night. The sign announcing this proceeding is like buried in those bushes, right? And I don't attribute any deliberateness to it, but it just paints the picture that my folks aren't heard. So at the minimum, if the county is inclined to approve this, we would ask that it be pushed back for 2 months for the community to be spoken to be heard, so that they can understand, if the impact is going to be less, that's great. Let them understand that on site, knowing how this actually works. So we would ask, again, these are folks that live there. They're going to be there for a very long time. A 1 or 2 month continuance would not overly burden anybody.
Thank you, sir. Let me look to staff. Did we send the required notices to the neighboring communities?
Yes,
And that was done by?
that was done by the county. We do
I know that
notification.
county, but what I'm saying, certified mail, U.S. Post.
Oh, U.S. Postal Service.
US
Just traditional, we send postcards now to all the property owners within 500 feet, and then the property is posted.
Does your client live within 500 feet of this proposed application, sir?
Oh, they are. I mean, they're right on top of this. And
What you're saying is you did not receive, nobody received notice of this?
I don't dispute that the postcards were sent to the individual homeowners. A lot of the homeowners are landlords, and so a lot of the folks that are impacted are residents. What I dispute is that there was a meaningful attempt. I did not, in my office, receive any notice of this. If I had, it would have been the kind of thing I would have pinged my client and said, do you want me involved? Do you want me to hear about it? We didn't receive it. I think the applicant, if it's going to be a long-term neighbor for my client, go a little bit, further to get a hold of us. We weren't hiding, but to send, I get that the law requires a notice to all the homeowners, but we know that a lot of people get this stuff. They don't feel empowered to do anything about it. It's just another piece of mail at the end of a long workday. Again, we would appreciate the opportunity to have a full discussion so that they can fully understand what the impact is, and if possible, if there's any room for any changes that would benefit the community.
I'm going to suggest something, and then I'm going to defer to the commissioner whose district this affects. I'm going to suggest that we take care of it today, and I know this applicant is going to work with you. Yes, sir? Okay. That's on the record. And come back in 30 days or 45 days, and we'll take another review, or you can talk to I know, but usually we want to make sure that everything is done properly. The county has followed the law. Unfortunately, it's some folks either, didn't read it or study it. And we want to make sure that everybody's taken care of. So we could do a couple of things. One, we could put this at the end of the agenda, and you could go talk to each other in the hallway. And I'm going to defer this decision up to the commissioner whose district this is. Many times if you discuss it professionally with the applicant, you might be able to come to a good agreement. We might be able to close it today. But I'm going to defer to Commissioner Weiss. It's his district. Sir?
Yeah, okay, why don't we do this? Start out, let's just go ahead and move this to the end of the agenda. We'll give you an opportunity to speak with the applicant.
Thank you.
And with the clients that you have here today. And then depending on how that goes, if need be, I'm not opposed to considering a postponement for a month. I understand what you're saying, and I'm very familiar with that area, and understand the challenges that might exist because of having a lot of renters in that area that potentially wouldn't even have gotten the notification because it would have gone to the property owner on record. So I understand that. The other thing I would, and I'll withhold the rest of my comments, but I think the applicant has agreed, and this will be conditioned with speed humps going on Orleans. So that should be also part of your discussion. But we'll bring this back at the end of our agenda. And let's see where we're at.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the time.
Hold on, just hold on.
Okay,
Just
so
one
I'll
sec.
make a motion.
We have,
I'll
okay,
make a
we have the
motion.
attorney, right? Is that okay?
I make a motion
Good.
to reorder this item to the end of the agenda.
All right. Is there any, we have a second? Yes, Commissioner Baxter?
I'll second it.
Oh, okay.
So I just wanted to, it's semantics, but I did want to just clarify, you're essentially continuing it or
Okay.
tabling it.
I'll
to
move
the
to
end of the meeting.
continue this item till the end of the agenda.
Okay. Is anybody opposed? See that motion passes unanimously. Gentlemen, feel free to go outside and discuss it.
Thank you.
We will see you before the end of the agenda.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Okay, Commissioner Barnett, your light is on, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. Before we proceed, I wanted to make a second amendment to my disclosure on item number 5. We had a site visit, and there was written correspondence. Thank you.
The record reflect that amendment. Okay, we're going to move on now from the consent agenda, going on, those who are following To the top of page 6, we're on number 8. Regular agenda, Boynton Beach Place. And, sir, you are recognized.
Thank you. Yeah. Good morning, Madam Mayor, Commissioners. For the record, Josh Nichols with Schmidt Nichols, agent for the applicant. Before us this morning is the Boynton Place MUPD project. And we are doing both application, number 8 and number 9 on your agenda. So if you don't mind, I'd like to combine those. They're consistent, concurrent
I think in
reviews.
terms of your argument, we can do that. In terms of the vote, may be different. So you go ahead and make an argument on both of them, sir. You're recognized.
Thank you so much. So as discussed, this is Boynton Place MUPD. Just a quick outline of what we'll be covering today. I'll try to keep it fairly brief. Location, we are just to the east of the intersection of Jog Road and Boynton Beach Boulevard. As you may know, along Jog, you have the new Wawa and Sprouts development there on the hard corner, and this is just to the east of that. To our north and east is also Country Fair PUD, and we've done much work with them that I'll discuss in a little bit, but so that's really the only neighbors. We have the commercial and then the Country Fair folks around the east and north. So the site's just shy of 9 acres. Just to give you a little bit of history, so in 1997 there was a flu amendment done to the property, and actually it included, let me see if that's, yeah. So it included the entirety of the corner, which was about 24 acres. And it actually created a CH underlying 5 land use over the entire project, except for the sliver that kind of bifurcates our site. So we have CH with underlying 5 and then CLO with underlying 5. And that basically provided a transition for the 24 acres to the residential to the east. So in keeping with that transition, we had the option when we submitted, we could either go commercial high to match what was to the west or go commercial low. And we decided based on input from the neighbors that we would go commercial low, as well as planning staff was part of that. But we're commercial low, again, to provide that transitionary area. So we did end up proposing the commercial low with underlying 5, so we're maintaining that residential. The zoning map amendment that goes along with that is from RS, which is residential single family, to MUPD. So as you can imagine, the RS does not match with the CH or the CLO, so it has to be changed by default. With that, we have some conditional uses that are shown up on the screen, and I'll go through some of those square footages in a second. Oh, and that's what it looked like prior, and that's the zoning. So getting to the site plan, so we talked a little bit about the comp plan side of it, going to the site plan. So we do have a mix of uses. It is kind of a challenge site because of the narrowness and the distance north to south. So we have the self-storage facility, which is to the north, and obviously that doesn't need the right-of-way view and being out there on the frontage. So that's pushed to the back. We do have an automated car wash and vehicle sales and rental. So we're looking at a community-based rental facility. So I live actually close by to this site, and if I want to go get a rental car, I've got to go all the way to the airport, or I think there's one on Lake Worth Road, but it's not easy to get to. So this would be nice to have something that's, a low-key. It's not going to be a huge facility, but just something small to serve the neighborhoods. And then we have a type 1 restaurant with drive-through. Again, one of the things I think going from the commercial high to the commercial low is the intensity difference. So I think that was important when we made that decision to go down to commercial low. It reduced that overall intensity. One of the big things that I think our client and us are proud of being able to work through is the neighborhood to our east, the Country Fair community. We've been working with them. I think it shows probably going back over a year now, and probably even discussions before that. They were kind of an ad hoc HOA. One of their actual president works for Homeland Homeland Security, so it was very difficult to get in contact with him. So we had to work through his schedule. So there was a lot to it, and they finally ended up hiring an attorney, which was probably the best thing they could have done. So we worked hand in hand with them and worked on some concessions, some increased buffers, some walls, some on the car wash, some quiet features that they have. There's called Whisper technology for their dryers. So really got into the details with them, and they were lock in step with us through that process. So with that culminated in a support letter from Country Fair. This also was able to overturn COBRA's initial denial recommendation of the project into support. Well, maybe I wouldn't go as far as support, but a neutral position based on the fact that their constituency was pleased with the project. So we were really pleased to get that letter. These are some of the couple of the comp plan conditions limiting to the 35-foot landscape buffer, which was actually part of the previous comp plan amendment. And then we also have limited to a number of trips on the site. So with that, happy to answer any questions. We have staff support. Planning and zoning commissions both unanimously supported the project, and we're looking for the same today. Appreciate it.
All right. Any members of the board have any questions of the applicant at this time? Do we have any cards? No cards, Commissioner Weiss. I'm looking at staff.
If you like a presentation, we have staff available.
All right. Does anybody wish to have a presentation? I have to say that you've given us a very good presentation and very comprehensive in our agenda review. So with that, I think, unless there are any other comments, I think we're ready to take a vote.
Mayor, I'll make the motion to approve item number 8.
And I see a first from Commissioner Baxter.
Madam Mayor, I don't think we've done disclosure on this item.
We have
Oh,
not.
we have not done disclosure.
On the
Just for 9, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have not done disclosure yet on this? No, okay, good. So good to have all these lawyers here. We're going to do without you, Commissioner Bernard. All right, so let's go ahead and do disclosure, and then we'll go ahead. We already have a first. And why don't we start with Commissioner Barnett? Are you ready for the disclosure on this?
Yes, Mayor, thank you. For item number 9, no disclosures.
Okay. Commissioner Weiss?
On item number 9, I have no disclosures.
All right, and Commissioner Bernard?
On item 9, no disclosures.
Commissioner Baxter?
On item number 9, I had verbal communication with Josh Nichols.
Very good. And Vice Mayor?
Item number 9, Josh Nichols reached out to the office, but we actually did not connect, so there you go. So I guess that would be a no, but I did put yes, so
Okay.
thank you.
And then from the mayor's office, we have verbal communications, a phone call, and a personal meeting with Josh Nichols, and receive and file the emails. I think we have completed that requirement. We have a first from Commissioner Baxter, and do we have a second from the vice mayor? Are those 4? Anybody opposed? See that it passes unanimously, 6-0. Very good.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
may I continue to make the motion for number 9?
Yes.
I'd like to make the motion to approve number 9,
Yes. You
A,
can.
B, and C.
Well, we have to
D
do
and
it,
E.
we have to do each one separately pursuant to my legal counsel. We have to have 5 votes for A, B, C, D, and E. Is that the same for today as it was yesterday?
As long as it's unanimous, you can do them all together. But you can also handle them separately, whatever the mayor.
Okay. I have such great power. Gee, I don't know what I'm going to do. I think what we'll do is it the pleasure of the board that we do 9, A, B, C, D, and E together, or does anybody wish? Okay, very good. So, looking at 9, A, B, C, D, and E, I have a first from Commissioner Baxter. I have a second from the vice mayor. All those 4. Anybody against? See that it passes unanimously, 6-0. Very nice. Congratulations. Moving right along over to number 10, Bednar's Market. Mr. Counsel, we need to do our disclosures now for 10?
Since I believe you're going to be, if the board handles 10 and 11, 12, 13 together, then you can do disclosures for 11, 12, and 13 right now, just to, get them out of the way.
I think that might be the most efficient way to handle it. So we're going to start now with Commissioner Baxter on disclosures 10, 11, let me see, 12, and 13. Okay?
11, 12, and 13.
Yes.
Those are the zoning applications.
Exactly what I said. Very good. Commissioner Baxter.
Thank you, Mayor. For items 11, 12, and 13, I have had verbal communications with Steve Bednar and Jennifer Morton, and we have written emails that have been filed with the clerk.
Thank you. Commissioner Bernard.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. For item 11, 12, and 13, I've had verbal communications with Jennifer Morton, Steve Bednar, Lauren McClellan, Mark Perry, Alex Aaronholtz, and Stephen Wallace. And I've received verbal correspondence on all three items. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Very good. Commissioner Weiss.
Thank you, Mayor. On items 11, 12, and 13, I had verbal communications with Jennifer Morton, Lauren McClellan, Steve Bednar, and Mark Perry on all three of those items. I also received verbal or email correspondence, which has been filed with the clerk.
Thank you.
Barnett.
Commissioner Barnett.
Thank you, Mayor. Items 11, 12, and 13, I've had verbal communications with Jennifer Morton, Lauren McClellan, Stephen Bednar, Mark Perry, Alex Aaronholtz, Steve Wallace. Items 11, 12, and 13 have had written correspondence, emails, and others filed with the clerk. No site visit.
Very
Thank
good.
you.
Thank you. Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. On items 11, 12, and 13, I've met with Steve Bednar, Jennifer Morton, Mark Perry, and Lauren McClellan, and I received written communications, emails that have been filed with the clerk.
Thank you. And from the mayor's office on 11, 12, and 13, I've had verbal communications and email from Gail Ladd, Jenny Yermes, Merrill Davids, Linda Smith, verbal communications with meetings with Jennifer Morton, Steve Bednar, Lauren McClellan. I've received and filed emails that have been filed. And same thing with item number 12, the same, and item 13, the same as the previous. And I receive and file all the emails with the clerk. Commissioner Baxter, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Would you please add Lauren McClellan and Mark Perry to mine as well, too?
Absolutely. The record will reflect that. All right. Anything else from the members of the board? Then we're going to go ahead and proceed at this time with the applicant. And good morning.
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners. Jennifer Morton with J. Morton Planning and Landscape Architecture. And I'm here this morning representing the Bednar family. Steve Bednar reminded me that we started working on this together about 2 years ago. You've seen this project multiple times. I'm going to go pretty quickly through my presentation, and we're all here to answer any questions you may have. So we have 4 requests before you today, and I'm just going to break it out into the first request is the adoption of the text amendment to the comprehensive plan. This will be the 3rd time the board has seen this request. The second request is the future land use change from AGR to commerce. The board transmitted this request back in January, and we're back before you today for adoption. And then the applications that you're seeing for the first time are the rezoning to the MUPD for Bednar North and Bednar South. And along with those applications, there are development order amendments to Bednar Marketplace and All Seasons. And this is an aerial of the Ag Reserve. You see Bednar's Marketplace. I know probably all of you have been there. It's on the west side of State Road 7, halfway between Boynton Beach Boulevard and Atlantic Avenue. Next to the marketplace is a preserved parcel for All Seasons. When All Seasons was approved, they had one off-site 5-acre preserved parcel. So that's why that application is before you as well. Just real quickly, the text amendment to be adopted. This is the adoption hearing for that. The text, it's very simply, we're taking the same definition that's in the Unified Land Development Code for agricultural marketplace, and we're requesting that same definition be placed in the comprehensive plan. And with that text language, we're proposing to amend the future land use element to allow for an agricultural marketplace to have a conservation easement on it. And really, we see a lot about farming and preserving farming and the importance of agriculture, not only within our county, but also at a state level. And I know several of you went to the Ag Tourism Conference, and the legislature in the Florida statutes actually says that it is the intent of the legislature to promote agritourism as a way to support bona fide agriculture production by providing a stream of revenue and by educating the general public about agriculture and the industry. And I think if anyone's been to Bednar's Market, they know that Bednar's Market is the epitome of supporting agriculture. It's another revenue stream for one of our largest farmers in Palm Beach County. And as far as the overall request, you can see this map shows the areas that currently have conservation easements on them. And what we're proposing is to relocate that conservation easement from the northwest corner to the southwest corner. And then the next thing we're proposing to do is requesting a commerce land use designation on the northwest parcel, and then a 9-acre site just south of the marketplace. So the comprehensive plan amendment is to go from AGR to commerce for 2 properties. The 2 properties are identified here in orange. We meet all of the criteria that was established by this board probably about 3 years ago now, which allows for commerce in the ag reserve. We meet the acreage criteria, we meet the location criteria, we meet the size criteria. We're also consistent with commerce that is previously approved along the State Road 7 corridor. And this takes us to our third request, which is the rezoning request. The rezoning will implement the land use. We're requesting to rezone both of these properties from AGR to MUPD. If you look at the north property, the 5 acres, I call that Bednar North. We're proposing the commerce land use designation, the MUPD zoning, and requesting approval for office warehouse type uses. We've worked with staff closely on the conditions of approval. We actually have an increased landscape buffer along our western property line from 15 feet to 20 feet and enhanced landscaping in that area. If you look at the southern property, I call that Bednar South, it's 9 acres. Also in requesting approval for office warehouse. That site currently has an access point on State Road 7. We're relocating that access point just a little further to the south. We're proposing 2 buildings, approximately 115,000 square feet of office retail. And it fits in nicely with the corridor. If you look where the site that we're proposing, the office warehouse, and then you look to the south, there already is existing some agricultural, light industrial type uses. I have a photograph. These are the properties just to the south of us. Because we went through the approval process and we're rezoning to MUPD, these properties have no buffering. They have bay doors that face State Road 7. We will implement all the requirements of the Unified Land Development Code, buffering, location of bay doors, things like that. And just in conclusion, as I mentioned, the Bednars have been working on, I've been working with them for almost 2 years on this process. They farm over 650 acres just in the ag reserve. That area highlighted in yellow are all the farms. This is just one small piece of their overall farming operation in the ag reserve. And then if you combine Palm Beach County with Martin County, they farm just under 1,500 acres between the two counties. And just in conclusion, this board transmitted both the text and the future land use amendment in January of 2024. Staff is recommending approval of the rezoning, and we agree with all the conditions. Zoning Commission voted 7-0 to recommend approval of the zoning request. That concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Warren. I have a question with regard to the numbers on the agenda, and I'm going to refer now to council. We should probably only discuss each one individually and take each vote individually, or what would be the recommended way to handle Bednar's Market?
So the votes definitely would be handled separately.
Okay.
And my understanding, and I'll look to staff just to confirm, is that all of these applications are intertwined in such a way that that they're all contingent upon each other, that none of them stand alone.
The future land use amendment and text amendment number 10 really set the stage for all of the zoning items 11, 12, and 13. So if 10 is approved, the other ones kind of just fall into place.
And the other ones, if 11 was approved, if 11 was denied, 12 and 13 also wouldn't be able to.
Correct, because 11, kind of like a domino, because 11 is the one that removes the,
So these are all, even though they're separate agenda items, they're all just separate requests, a part of the same overall application in a sense.
Yes, so, I concur that the discussion is really good consolidated, but individual motions are going to be needed.
And I think consistent with historical practice, handling comp plan amendments and companion zoning as a package is how it's been done. It's within the discretion of the mayor to offer more time if you believe that's appropriate, but you can certainly have the comments all heard together.
So why don't we proceed like this, unless somebody on the board wishes to change it? Why don't we have a discussion, public discussion, as well as board discussion on all of the issues relating to this application, and we will take an individual vote for each one. No, we're not done yet. Okay? So let's at least proceed on number 10. Let's proceed on number 10. We'll take a vote there. If there is public comment that wishes to be made on separate than 10, then I will certainly entertain it, always from the public. So we have the applicant come forward already and give the argument on number 10. And staff, would you like to give a staff presentation on number 10?
Bryce Van Horn is here for the planning division to make a presentation.
Very good. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners. Bryce Van Horn with the Planning Commission, Planning Division. I think Jennifer Morton gave a pretty good overview of the amendment. Just to give you a little bit of history, again, which I did give you at transmittal and is in the report, but in 2012, there was a BCC workshop regarding the ag reserve tier where the board directed staff to create within the ULDC an agriculture marketplace. That use was in order to support existing agriculture. The county created that use, the agriculture marketplace, in 2012, and the ULDC allowed only in a preserved parcel. And the Bednar Market was approved as an agricultural marketplace use in 2013. Prior to that, it was approved as a produce stand. To date, this is the only agricultural marketplace in the tier. Then recently, in 2022, as Ms. Morton indicated, the site in red was part of the All Seasons Delray Amendment application. You saw the overall map that she had and where the development area was for that on Lyons Road and Linton, for a site with a congregate living residential or CLR future land use designation, and that had a requirement for a 5-acre off-site preserve parcel. So that site in red was part of that application to serve as the required off-site preserve. So again, the amendment before you today includes the applicant's text request to define agricultural marketplace in the comprehensive plan. And that would match the current ULDC definition and to allow agricultural marketplace use approved prior to May 31st, 2013, and the required off-site preserve associated with an AGR MUPD and the congregate living future land use. So this would then allow the 5-acre parcel A, which is currently approved as the All Seasons Delray preserve parcel, to be replaced by the Bednar Market, agricultural marketplace, that area shown in blue. And the applicant, again, is seeking a commerce future land use designation for the 5-acre parcel A and the 9-acre parcel B to the south of the marketplace, and to develop up to 213,000 square feet of warehouse and accessory office. ULDC revisions are also required as part of that. Just as a first step in assessing the proposed amendments, staff looked at the surrounding uses and development pattern, some of which Ms. Morton showed you, but zooming out a little bit more, this aerial shows the subject sites, the sites subject to the proposed CMR future land use and the surrounding land uses and the context of the immediate area. So surrounding those sites, you have the Arthur R. Marshall Loxahatchee Wildlife Refuge on Lee Road. You have the Bednar Preserve area, a little over 67 acres. That's an ag-reserve PUD preserve area approved in 2002. Other preserve areas on the east side of State Road 7, the Whitworth Preserve, which is an AGR PUD preserve. That one is actually in process right now to reduce that preserve area just slightly, but it's still proposed as a preserve area. And then the other land to the east is county-owned, bond-purchased property that the county leases for farming. So essentially that's like preserve also. And then surrounding the 5-acre is another AGR PUD preserve also, and other AGR preserve areas. So all those areas, pretty much surrounded by preserve area. So staff's assessment for the text amendment was that the agricultural marketplace use was already accommodated in 2012 as a use in the ag reserve tier, but was considered appropriate only in a non-preserved parcel. The proposed amendment just provides a further exception to a use that's already accommodated. So it represents really a change in policy from 2012 by allowing an existing preserve to be replaced with essentially a retail market. So there's really no net gain of preserve area. They would be swapping the preserves, but really this is allowing a use that's currently not allowed in a preserve area. So the text amendment really does not further the goal objective of the tier, farmland protection, and agricultural perpetuation. For the CMR future land use part of the amendment, yes, the sites are eligible to request CMR, and that was part of the amendment, the text amendments, the county-initiated text amendments previously, which allowed for applicants to come in and request CMR land use in certain areas. However, the proposed amendment sites would create an isolated pocket of industrial adjacent or proximate to preserves, active agriculture, and environmentally sensitive lands. The intensity that's proposed far exceeds that of the surrounding area, including the existing marketplace. Overall, the proposal is not consistent with the overriding ag reserve tier objective, which is to preserve and enhance agricultural activity, environmental and water resources, and open space. So staff had recommended denial in the staff report. On October 13, 2023, the Planning Commission recommended denial 7-4. The board, of course, transmitted this amendment in January in a 6-1 vote. Subsequent to the transmittal, the state land planning agency, which is now the Florida Department of Commerce, issued a letter dated March 7th stating that the agency had no comments on the proposed amendment. We have letters from Florida Fish and Wildlife and Florida Department of Transportation and Treasure Coast Regional Planning Council, none of which had any objections to the amendment. They did have technical assistance comments. Florida Fish and Wildlife comments were related to protocols and surveys for if evidence of state-listed species were found on the sites. So we forwarded that information to the applicant for their information. Florida Department of Transportation also provided technical assistance comments which staff addressed. It's on page 2 of the staff report. And also lastly, the Treasure Coast Regional Planning Council provided, had no objections to the amendment. However, commented on an overall trend in the reduction of agricultural uses in the ag reserve, and that allowing an agricultural marketplace in a preserve appeared to be contrary to the common understanding of a preserve. So since transmittal, a couple minor housekeeping changes, deleting the condition that requires the amendment and the zoning applications be heard at the same time. We're here today, all at the same time, so that condition isn't necessary. And also on your agenda is the ULDC permission to advertise under item 10 also for the ULDC amendments. The motion, if the board chooses, would be to adopt then an ordinance for the Bednar's market future land use and text amendment. And that concludes my presentation.
Thank you, sir. Does any commissioners have any questions? I have one question. Were the commissioners provided with copies from the FDOT, the Florida Fish and Wildlife Commission?
Yes, in the future land use amendment staff report under Exhibit 12, which is on page E46 of the staff report, are the correspondence received from Florida Department of Transportation, Fish and Wildlife, Florida Fish and Wildlife, and the Treasure Coast Regional Planning Council. You also have 2 letters on the dais in front of you that we received yesterday, one from the Coalition Boynton West Residential Association, COBRA, objecting to the replacement of the preserve area, and also from the law offices of Hartsel Overy, representing 1,000 Friends and Sierra Club, objecting to the amendment.
Any other questions for the gentleman? For staff? Very good. Okay, thank you very much, sir. Very comprehensive. I think at this point, we have some cards, public cards, and then I'm going to certainly allow any commissioner to speak after the cards are read. Go right ahead, sir.
All right, we'll have Barbara Roth, followed by Gail Ladd, followed by Kevin Costello.
Good morning, Ms. Roth. Good morning.
Good morning, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners. Very nice to see you again. Barbara Roth, representing Cobra, 6776 Rienzo, Lake Worth. I'm grateful that Bryce Von Horn mentioned that Planning Commission did vote to recommend denial of this last October. I made that motion at Planning Commission. That vote was 7-4. I just want to stress that. The concern then, and the concern that Cobra has, is the movement of this conservation easement, the lifting of it, picking it up and putting on top of an existing marketplace. We all love Bednar's. That's been well established in this county. But exceptions have already been made to accommodate the agricultural marketplace use. Historically, this board, I hope, remembers that Cobra supported the use of commerce in the ag reserve. We supported that. We supported you on the use of placement of essential housing in the ag reserve. So we are cognizant of the needs in the county. We feel that this exceeds a reasonable accommodation. That accommodation was made for the marketplace, and this is a further exception. And it is the only such exception within the ag reserve to introduce up to a little over 200,000 square feet of warehouse use at the entrance to one of our greatest preserves. Cobra feels is not an acceptable exception. We very humbly ask that you deny number 10. We are objecting to this land use change and the text amendment, to be clear. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ms. Roth. Good morning.
Hi, good morning. I'm Gail Ladd from Jupiter, and I'm a member of the Sierra Club Loxahatchee Group. I respectfully ask that you oppose this text amendment. I'm opposed to it, and Sierra Club is also, as through our lawyer staff and planning, have also recommended denial as well. This text amendment would represent a fundamental policy change. I feel like I'm a broken record over and over saying things like this, but it would not further the objectives and goals of our agricultural preserve. Developers and landowners continually request changes and exceptions to our comprehensive plan. Little by little, our ag reserve is losing the benefits originally conceived to include development regulations and to preserve, our idea is to preserve agricultural lands, environmental and water resources, and open space. So I ask respectfully that you deny this future land use application. And yes, we adore Bednar's. That's not the point. It's just this new text amendment. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Sir, state your name. You're recognized.
I'm Kevin Costello. I'm a farmer in the Ag Reserve. I'm here to give voice to the farmers as opposed to the cave people, the citizens, against virtually everything. I also want to say that, every article that's ever been printed by the Sun Sentinel, the Palm Beach Post, or written by people like Randy Schultz has contained red herrings which are intended to deceive the public, which I think they've done a good job at, because many people in the public believe that the county owns the Ag Reserve, and they don't. Recently, Mike Diamond in the Palm Beach Post wrote an article that was completely negative on this subject. And, I think that every story has two sides to it. And I think that he neglected to reflect that in his article. The Bednars are a great institution in the Ag Reserve. They are wonderful neighbors. They are hardworking. They contribute to so many different charities. Every week when I'm out there, I see a different church or civic group out there gleaning their fields. I mean, I think it's underreported what they do for our community, and I don't think that the Cave people really want to acknowledge their contribution on that regard. I also feel that the whole idea of the Ag Reserve doesn't really include it doesn't take into account the current situation that we have. You know, the Bednars are reeling from losses that they've incurred from this new insect that came out of the county's transfer station. This Thrips parvis spinus has basically almost put them on their knees. And you know, that's part of what they're dealing with now, as well as me and all the other farmers. Every single farmer out there now is losing land to development, and I think that's just the natural way that things are going. I think that as we have more, it's not really an ag reserve anymore, it's more a community. There's more people living there than there are farmers. There's less farmland than there ever has been. And you know, when I'm driving my tractor on Lyons Road going 16 miles an hour, which is the top speed, I'm pretty sure that the people in the line behind me that sometimes stretches 2 miles long are all thinking the same thing. What am I doing here? What is he doing here? You know, so we are the dinosaurs, and you know, if you could have places for people to work that are near their communities, I think that would put less people on the roads, and I think that's a greater good for all of the citizens of Palm Beach County. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Let's see, we have Maria Pisano, Mark Perry, Jim Knight.
Good morning,
Good morning.
Maria Pisano, Jupiter, Florida. I request that you vote no on item 10. The request will add land to be used for non-agricultural activities, which is contrary to the goals for the creation of the agricultural reserve here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Mr. Perry, you're recognized.
Good morning, Mayor,
Morning.
Board. My name is Mark Perry. Address is 88 Northeast 5th Avenue, Delray Beach, Florida, and I represent the Bednar family. This is one of the examples where that we've been looking at examples where that the board can help ag. The board has asked me individually on many occasions, is what can we do to support the ag community? This is one of them, where that the farmers need to diversify for financial security, and this is a great example where this would help the Bednar family. As the earlier speaker pointed out, they had to deal with thrip. We're dealing with salmonella, and these are things that are devastating to a farmer. And a lot of times you cannot survive something like this. This is a great example where this is given a base for security financially. We've experienced the Whitworth family leave the community and retire. Experienced at Pontano Farms, they've left the community. This is an instance where we have one of the last farming families still in the community. We need to support them. Is also in the earlier speaker is from Cobra. Cobra fought Bednar's Market, did not support it. They were one of the ones that came out and opposed us in numbers. And so again, here we have another example where they're not helping the farming community, they're actually hurting the community. I would hope that you'd find that this would be one of those examples where you could support the Bednar family and vote in favor of these motions. Thank you
very much, Mr. Perry. Mr. Knight, good morning.
Good morning, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners. My name is Jim Knight. Live at 740 Havana Drive, Boca Raton, Florida. And I was a native growing up here in Florida. I've lived my entire life here in Palm Beach County. There used to be 20 plus vegetable farmers here in Palm Beach County. Mayor, your house is, or your neighborhood is where I learned to drive at 13 years old. Not supposed to be doing that at 13, but Horseshoe Acres, there wasn't much out there back then. Anyhow, there has been a significant amount of growth out here. In fact, your community was one of the few communities out there, Tierra del Mar, so forth, Tierra del Rey. But since then, you have a lot of residential communities such as the Valencia, the Bridges, Meister Country Club, Four Seasons, etc. I've had the pleasure and honor to serve on boards with numerous people from COBRA and the Alliance of Delray. In fact, I was on the Land Development Review Advisory Board in 2012 when the concept of the marketplace came up for Bednar's. I was actually on the steering committee along with Lori Vinocour, and we supported that. We thought that was a good thing, and I'm glad we did because the Bednar's probably wouldn't be here right now. And as times continue to change, there has to be some change to help keep the farmers around. Again, there's so few of them left that are out there. Used to be over 20, now they're down to about 6, and hopefully we can keep them here. One of the things that is important to remember is 13,000 acres of the Ag Reserve has been preserved. So it has worked out quite well from that standpoint. I heard about Florida Fish and Treasure Coast and FDOT and so forth, and how they're not objecting to it. I think this is a good tool to put in the Bednar toolbox to keep them farming out there for generations to come. I would appreciate if you'd all would support this item, and thank you for your time this morning.
Thank you, Mr. Knight.
All right, our last 3 speakers, Dagmar Braz, Alex Larson, and Kay Gates.
Good morning.
Before you start my time, I need clarification. Am I just talking about 10 or am I talking about all of them
You
together?
can talk about just about anything you want.
Okay.
But we are focused now on 10.
Okay, do I get to come
Will you
up?
be able to come up and speak again on the others?
Okay.
A lot of it depends on what happens on 10, to tell you the truth.
Okay.
Okay?
Good point. Okay, thank you very much.
Good
morning,
Now we'll start your time. All right.
My name is Dagmar, past president of COBRA. What you're asking, preserved property has always been fallow, equestrian, farming, nursing, or just nurseries, or just do nothing with it, okay? You are opening up such a Pandora's box. The previous speaker, Mr. Knight, said, oh, there's over 13,000 acres of preserve in the Ag Reserve. Well, guess what? If you allow this to get a preserved property use lifted off of it, who's coming up next? Who's gonna, you just can't, let's just treasure these preserved properties. The Bednars, and this goes on, there are people sitting at this table. There was a committee that was put together, and I was on that committee. The Bednars had a farm stand, a produce stand, and they wanted to stay there, and we valued that, and we wanted to support that. So we went through this whole process to make sure that they could build a real building, certain amount of square footage, certain amount of parking. I mean, they really utilized the project. We already changed the language for the Bednars to be successful where they are. And one of those things was you had to have 80 acres of farmable contiguous property associated with your market, okay? So we already went through this really long process to make sure the Bednars were successful on their piece of property. So now they're coming back, and I'm sorry, Ms. Morton is speaking out of both sides of her mouth when she says, oh, we really think farming is so important, we really want this to, continue and the Bednars to be successful, but now the Bednars, they want to put warehouses. It is on the thoroughfares that you allowed, which was Boynton, Atlantic, and 441. But this is not only on the west side of 441, it's at the opening to the Loxahatchee Wildlife Refuge. You guys are term limited. You're not going to be here forever. I'm not either, okay? But is that the future that we want to see to the entrance to the Loxahatchee Wildlife Refuge, to have warehouses in order to find this jewel of the Everglades? You just changed the pictures in your lobby for your elevators. Beautiful shots of the Everglades and everything that's out there. And now we're going to put warehouses at the entrance to something like that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Braz. Ms. Larson? Good morning.
I'm sorry, Commissioners, I guess with Dagmar and the rest of them, but to be called cave people because we want to preserve something. The Arthur Marshall is 147,000 square acres of open land. That's our Everglades here in Palm Beach County. At least in Dade and Broward, they have a line of demarcation Everglades. You can't go there. We don't do this. We just keep going. And to say that we're these awful people because we want to preserve land and, oh, God bless the Bedners. You know, they're 650 acres, but yes, they're all separated. It's bifurcated all over the place. It's little pieces. It isn't contiguous. It's amazing to me because when I hear this stuff, you know, 115,000 square feet of warehouse? Why don't we put a big gate up there that says, this is the Arthur Marshall, this is a jewel of Palm Beach County? It goes down to the Broward line. It starts at Southern Boulevard by my house, 20 Mile Bend. What? We want to put a race course here, and we want to put this over here. Why don't we just cover it up and hide it all together? It makes you sad, commissioners, because I do. My cat cries with me at night when I'm reading this stuff because it's bait and switch. We voted $100 million to preserve agriculture. We've done so much to try, and little by little, it's been eaten up. Eaten up and eaten up and eaten. 441, ugh. I wish I could do a rolling movie for you of what it used to look like and what it looks like now. So please, I think denial. I want to be a cave person. I want you to stop building for 8 years so you can fix the crap that's destroyed now. That's my opinion. Because you'd have everybody working to fix what's wrong. We got condos falling down, commissioners. We need to fix some stuff. And we don't need to build anything else. We just don't. Not right now. We don't know what's going on. We really don't. And we do need farming, and we don't need salmonella in our cucumbers. I mean, every day you read something new that just grabs your heart. And that's what brings me down here. Because I told you when I came in the first time, you had to drag me out of a coffin to come here. And that's how I feel, and that hasn't changed. But I really care about this county, and I hope you do too, and I hope you recommend denial. Maybe I'm a little bit more stern than the others. I'm not as gracious with my hat in my hand, but I try really hard, commissioners, to be very well informed. We really need help, and we really do need farming in the state of Florida, so thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Larson. Commissioner Weiss, do we have any other cards? Yes, hi, good morning.
Good morning. I don't usually come anymore because I'm just getting too old, but I had to come today. I love Bednar's. I love their farm store. I love the convenience of their East stores. I think the Bednar's have been wonderful supporters of the environmental community. They furnish us fruit platters and produce platters. We, the Sierra Club, loves local produce. We want to support local produce. We, the Sierra Club, were here in 2002, and we supported Bednar's initial desire to build, as I think Dagmar or somebody else just said, at the entrance, because the other application was a trucking company. So now we're going to bring the trucks now with warehouses? That's not a good idea. I am really sad to see the Bednar's come forward with this proposal, because they know better than I do, and as you do, that it will change the rules for the ag reserve. And just like we fought that last one, and that the commission finally denied, we're asking you to deny this one. The gentleman from our planning commission that gave the presentation was excellent. This planning commission are our employees, the taxpayers, your employees. Please listen to your employees that are the experts, because they really know. I want to thank the Planning Commission also, because those are volunteers, and those are people that know and understand what's really best for the county. You also, every one of you, I don't know if it was just yesterday or today, I'm sure it was yesterday or a couple days ago, received a letter from our attorney, Robert Hartzell. Robert Hartzell's points just support everything that your planning commission told you. Please deny this application. It's wrong. Thank you.
Thank you. For the record, give us your name.
Sorry.
I know, it's okay.
I'm Kay Gates.
We know who
with
you are, right?
Sierra Club, yeah, and I think those of you that have been around know me.
Thank you. Thank you so
I'm
much.
getting old, that's all.
You're fine. Don't you worry. Commissioner Weiss, do we have any other cards? No, no other cards? I'd like to hear from staff. And then we'll take, I'd like to hear from staff, and then I'm going to open it up if anybody has any questions of staff.
Well, we have the staff presentation, so if there's any other questions, we can address them now.
Very good. Commissioner Baxter?
Thank you, Mayor. A few questions. It was stated that a long time ago, prior to any of us being here, that Cobra supported this coming in? Bedner's Market coming in?
Bedner's Market came about in 2012, 2013 from an amendment to the Unified Land Development Code. And if they say they support it, then I will go along with that they say that they were supporting it. Because I don't know if you remember, I don't remember the zoning changes in 2012.
I know they were involved. We were here, but some of those didn't usually record.
Do you mind if
No, go ahead.
Jennifer speaks, or if I ask
Sure.
her questions?
Absolutely. Come on up,
Jennifer-
Ms. Morton. And then I'd like to have, I know we had a report, a very good report from staff, but I'd like to have another final report before we take the vote. Ms. Morton, go right ahead, you're recognized.
Do you remember back then, were you a part of this?
I was not a part of that, but from what I've been told, it wasn't I was told it was not supported by Cobra, but I wasn't there. I don't know. I know Steve Bednar and his family felt like that they had to fight for every little thing that they got approved. That originally it was limited to only the fruits and vegetables that they sold. Then they were able to sell vegetables from other farmers. Then they were able to get the bee farmers. I mean, it was a constant battle. Now, I don't know Cobra's role. I don't doubt that they supported the application that finally went to the board. But I think from Steve's perspective and what I've heard is it was a struggle. Every little thing he asked to be able to sell and do, he had to fight for. So,
thank you.
But I believe that at the end that they supported it.
And so, thank you for that. We have a lot of applications that seem to come in front of us that are near, around, or close to the ag reserve. And so, and as to somebody's point, there's farmers leaving all the time. And so I find it very disingenuous to say that this wouldn't, this goes contrary to the ag reserve tier, because this exactly, if a farmer in the ag reserve is asking, saying, I need this as a vital part of my ability to survive after thrip and everything else that has hit them economically. I mean, the reason for the agritourism legislation of saying the purpose of this is to support agriculture, because they can't survive on just selling fruits and vegetables. They have to be able to diversify, which any other business understands. And this isn't really any different. So I have a hard time saying when a farmer who is actually in the ag reserve, helping to preserve the ag reserve with all of the acres attached to something, saying, I need this for my business to survive, I have a hard time saying no. We don't know them. We don't know, it's not our business to know their numbers or their books. All we know is they've come to us, they own something, they ask for something that is allowable, and I think we should do it. I'm going to be the first to make the motion to approve number 10. I do understand other people want to be heard, but the motion's out there.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. Ms. Roth, did you want to say something? I saw your name come up. I'm sorry. From Cobra. Right ahead.
Thank you very much, Mayor. Barbara Roth, president of Cobra. Dagmar Braz was a former president of Cobra some years ago. It's very easy, perhaps especially since last October's vote, to make a blanket statement that Cobra opposes any development in the Ag Reserve. Nothing could be further from the truth. As I said before, COBRA has worked constructively with staff, with your commission, with prior commissions, to accommodate the needs of the county. We are realistic about economic imperatives, and we want to be a supporting partner. In this case, we have supported exceptions that have aided Bednar's, and again, those were very specific exceptions, and we have appreciated that. You know, we have said on a number of projects, a bridge too far. This is 200,000 square feet of warehouse space, much too far on what was supposed to be a conservation easement. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to speak on this? And staff, do you have anything to say at this point?
Well, for number 10, we don't have any items, but if you would like the presentation on 11, 12, and 13, we can do that.
I think what we're going to do is we're going to take a vote on number 10, because I think the rest of it depends on the vote on number 10. We have a first, and do I have a second? I have a second by the Vice Mayor. I'd like to have a roll. Council.
So this one is a little quirky, as opposed to the normal applications where there's an A, B, and C, and they're all just, you know, kind of.
Right.
This one involves adoption of an ordinance to approve the comp plan amendment, but then there's also a request for permission to advertise a ULDC amendment. So I think the best way to make sure it's clear on the record is to handle each motion one at a time.
Okay.
Normally, we're fine to do, you know, A, B, and C, but this one is just a little quirky, so.
So what we're going to do is we're going to take a vote on number 10, then we'll move on to number 11. Is that
Yeah.
your recommendation, sir?
Right, so number 10 actually has 3 motions.
I see that.
One of which was added on add delete, so little mixing and matching, but yeah, so the
Do we
first motion.
should we take every motion separately?
Yeah, I think for this one.
Aye, okay. So let's start, and help me out here and make sure that I'm correct. Let's start with the first motion that's on the agenda, a motion to adopt an ordinance approving item 10, is that correct? Right? Okay, very good. So I'm going to start again. And do we have a first on that? Yes, we do. We have Commissioner Baxter, and I have a second by the Vice Mayor. Okay, we're going to take a voice roll call, if we could, please. Thank you.
Yes.
Yes.
Commissioner Barnett,
Yes.
Commissioner Baxter,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Marino,
Yes.
Mayor Sachs.
No.
5-1, and it passes.
Very good. Okay, now we're going to go on to the next motion to approve permission to advertise for first reading of an ordinance at the Bcc Zoning hearing on October 24th, 2024, for ULDC amendments implementing item 10 as shown in Exhibit 11B of the staff report. Do I have a first?
There's a,
So actually on the add delete, the date of that motion was changed to November 21st,
Okay.
2024.
Let the record reflect that.
so I will
So
make
do I have a first?
the motion. Yes, Mayor.
I do, from Commissioner Baxter, and I have a second by the Vice Mayor. And roll call, please.
Yes.
Commissioner Barnett,
Yes.
Commissioner Baxter,
Yes.
Commissioner Bernard,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Marino,
Yes.
Mayor Sachs.
No.
Same, 5-1.
Very good. Okay, now, if I could have you, Ms. Counsel, could you read the third motion that was added here?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
The motion on the add delete is to approve holding both required advertised hearings for the ULDC amendment ordinance at 9:30 a.m. instead of holding one of the required advertised hearings after 5 p.m. That's all you need.
That's it, huh? Everybody understand that? Very good. And I have a first.
I'll make the
Commissioner
motion.
Baxter, second by Vice Mayor. And if we could have a roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Barnett,
Yes.
Commissioner Baxter,
Yes.
Commissioner Bernard,
Yes.
Commissioner Weiss,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Marino,
Yes.
Mayor Sachs.
No.
5-1.
Okay, and you made the announcement. Very good. Now, we're going to go on to, and correct me if I'm incorrect here, on to number 11. Is that correct? Okay. So, this is on All Seasons Delray Beach, and it's also a zoning application of Bednar Farms. It appears that we have 1, 2, 3 motions on number 11, Council?
Yes.
Okay. Then, does anybody wish to have a staff report?
No.
Seeing none, does the applicant wish to say anything at this time? Seeing no, so we're going to go motion by motion. On number 11, the first motion is to adopt a resolution approving item 11A. Do I have a first?
So moved.
By Commissioner Baxter, a second.
Second.
By the Commissioner Bernard. Roll call vote, please. Oh, do we have cards? No, I mean, do we have cards or not? Yes, we have cards.
So I believe most of the people that spoke covered all of these items already. However, I think during one of the public comments, you mentioned that they were limited to only talking about item 10. So I think it'd be prudent and appropriate to allow public comment on these since that was mentioned.
Is there anyone who has not spoken who would like to speak specifically on 11 on the first motion? Okay. Okay, and I know you've already spoken. This all pertains to the same subject matter, doesn't it, Council?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Yes. The motions on 11A pertain to the same subject matter as 10.
They're companion items in the sense that they're all related to the same overall project. And I do believe I see somebody raising their hand to speak.
Okay.
Alex, are you?
Okay. Yeah, hold on just a second. I've never been one to deny public comment. And please don't respond, even though I may like you to respond. Don't respond. So let me open this up. We have cards specifically to this number 11. And if there is anyone here who wishes to speak to 11 who has submitted a card, yes, I will allow you to speak. Do you want to speak to this matter?
I'm Gail
Hold on
Ladd.
just one
Oh,
second.
go ahead.
The Vice Mayor has something to say. Go right ahead, Vice Mayor.
To the attorney, would it be appropriate if we combined 11, 12, and 13? So, because we understand the emotion that is in the room, we understand where everyone's position is. I think it might be redundant. So I believe at the attorney's approval, I believe we can hear 11, 12, and 13 together.
Yes, Madam Vice Mayor, I agree with that. And again, it's up to the mayor's discretion to enlarge the time or reduce the time if you so wish.
Thank you.
So we're going to hear all of them together, and we're not going to do individual motions, votes?
The votes will be separate.
Okay,
But
right.
because the items are all connected in,
Correct.
in such a way that they're part of one overall project, I think.
So the motion now by the Vice Mayor is not to allow anybody to speak on this? No?
No, this is to.
Okay, what is-
This is to allow the public comments. Everyone who wants to speak would speak on all 3 items, and they
Yeah.
would be given that 3-minute all at
Okay,
once.
I know that, and we said that at the very beginning, and I just asked because I never want to deny any public person from speaking on any issue. If there was someone who wishes to speak specifically to this, and this lady said that she did, and if anybody would like to take a vote to deny her, I'll go ahead and entertain that. Otherwise, I would like to give her a few minutes to speak. Okay?
Madam Mayor,
right.
I just want to make sure I believe what we're trying to do is everyone can speak on all 3 items.
Yes.
So we can call all of the people's names.
No, I don't think we have all of the people, but I asked. We do. Let me say it again. Is there anybody here who wishes to speak specifically on number 11? Okay? And who has submitted a card? Is that you, ma'am?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Is there any problem, is there any issue with allowing her to speak specifically on number 11? Then I'll go ahead and not allow her to speak. Okay? I think we've already taken enough time discussing this. Okay.
Okay.
Go ahead and proceed, ma'am.
Thank you very much. I'm Gail Ladd from Jupiter. I just had a question, and maybe you can help me understand this. So is this particular one, number 11, is this about the warehouses, or are the warehouses part of 10, 11, 12, 13?
Staff?
The warehouses are part of 11, well, they're part of 12 and 13, but this application is necessary in order to move forward for the warehouses in 12 and 13.
Okay, so I think one of the things that I'm definitely opposed to is the fact that these warehouses are going to be put right in front of the Arthur Marshall Loxahatchee Preserve. It just does not seem like the best entrance to a wonderful reserve, and I know you all know it, and I just think, I just can't understand how you would actually recommend this, and I'm, as you know, I'm very disappointed, so thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay. Now we're ready to take the vote on the
I have
motion.
a card in.
Oh, Ms. Larson, did you put a card in for this?
Yeah, I put
Okay, go
in-
right ahead,
I
ma'am.
did. I'm really sorry, Commissioners. I don't understand this at all. I really would, and I don't understand if this is all put together, then why are there 4 different items? They were separated for a reason, and I don't know what the end game is for the reason. But for some reason, you want to crowd it all together, but you don't want to let us speak on them. Each individual 11,
Ma'am, you have
12,
the
13.
opportunity
That's
now
all.
to speak on it.
I don't understand clustering. You know, in my whole time coming here, Commissioners, we got to speak on the separate items. I don't know, I guess it changed while my husband
You
was
have the
sick,
opportunity to speak now.
you know? But we are. I'm worried about anything in front of the Arthur Marshall. You know, anything. It should have a big place. It's not marked very well. It's a little tiny road that goes into it, you know? And this is not a welcoming thing to 147,000 acres. It's not even acknowledged properly as far as I'm concerned. Because like I said, it is your Everglades. It's our Everglades here in Palm Beach County. That's what it is. There's people who go out there and take pictures. There's wildlife out there. There's all kinds of stuff out there. And what we don't need is anything else on 441, State Road 7, whatever you want to call the road out there. It is not a welcoming thing. It doesn't welcome the public to what a great feature we have in this county. Because above that is the J.W. Corbett. That's 60,000 acres up the road, right, you know, right there. And it does kind of go into the middle of the county between us and Belglade and everybody, but I'm certainly questioning the legality and everything that's been done here today. And I thank you for your time.
Okay, we have a first on 11A by Commissioner Baxter. We have a second by Commissioner Bernard. Do the roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Barnett?
Yes.
Commissioner Baxter? Yes. Commissioner Bernard?
Yes.
Commissioner Weiss? Vice Mayor Marino? Yes. Mayor Sachs?
No. You announce a
4-1.
vote. Okay, very good. All right. 11B, if we could have a motion, a first by Vice Mayor Marino, a second by Commissioner Baxter. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Barnett?
Yes.
Commissioner Baxter? Yes. Commissioner Bernard?
Yes.
Commissioner Weiss?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Marino? Yes. Mayor Sachs?
No. You now still vote? Very good, thank you. Now going on to 11C. Do I have a first? Yes. Okay, by Commissioner Baxter, a second by Vice Mayor. Please do the roll call.
Commissioner Baxter? Yes. Commissioner Bernard?
Yes.
Commissioner Weiss?
Yes.
Commissioner Barnett?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Marino?
Yes.
Mayor Sachs?
No. And you have the vote. Very good. Okay. Now we're going on to, I don't have a 12.
11C.
11.
I think we just did.
We've done A, B, and C for the record. And now we're on number 12. And this is also the same subject matter. So I don't believe we need a staff report. So we're going to go on for a motion on 12. Where is that motion? 12A. Do I have a first?
Yes.
By Commissioner Baxter, a second? By Vice Mayor Marino. Could you please take the roll call vote?
Commissioner Baxter?
Yes.
Commissioner Bernard?
Yes.
Commissioner Weiss?
Yes.
Commissioner Barnett?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Marino? Yes. Mayor Sacks?
No.
5-1.
Very good. Moving on to number 13. And we don't, from staff, we don't need a presentation. Is that correct? Very good. So we're going to go on for on the motion, which is 12A. Do I have a first? 13A. I have a
Yes.
first, Commissioner Baxter, second by the Vice Mayor. Please do the roll call.
Commissioner Bernard?
Yes.
Commissioner Weiss?
Yes.
Commissioner Barnett?
Yes.
Commissioner Baxter?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Marino? Yes. Mayor Sacks?
No.
5-1.
And you have the vote. Very good. Okay, so that takes care of that. So let's go on to number 14. And staff, do we have a staff report? Do we need or want a staff report? Members of the
Permission to
board?
advertise.
We do have a staff report. I can just briefly summarize. This is a request for permission to advertise for first reading and final adoption for our September 26th hearing. These are about 4 minor modifications as it relates to parking waivers for, specifically for fitness centers and recreation areas within planned developments, and then modifying some of our parking calculations as it relates to dimensions for end-to-end and parallel parking, and a modification as it relates to generators for how we measure the height and the setbacks.
Very good. Does anybody have any questions of the staff? This is an excellent idea, by the way, I think. So, do we have a first?
Yes.
Okay, we have a first by the Vice Mayor. Commissioner Baxter was
I'll be the
quicker
second.
Okay, I'll give Commissioner Weiss the second. All those for, anybody opposed, see that it passes unanimously, 6-0. All right, that's the end of the regular agenda. Now we're going on to comments before we go on to number 15. Is that
Oh,
correct?
Mayor, Project
Yes.
Charlie is coming back.
I'm sorry.
We have number 15.
We have another, yes,
We have item 15.
I know we have item 15, but then we also have another item that we skipped?
Right,
Is that what you're
3.
referring to, Whitney? Okay. Would we like to do, and I'm looking at the district
15
commissioner, we'll do 15 first, and then we'll go on to the one that was continued. And that's the preference of the district commissioner. So now, let's look at farm worker housing, number 15.
Oh, she has a comment.
Yes, we do have comments. Comprehensive plan text initiation on number 15. Twee, I think this was yours. Yes.
Yes.
I remember. Go right ahead, Twee.
Morning. This is just.
Madam Mayor, before we get into that, I think actually I might have been taking up Ms. Larson's time when public comment came up for the last item.
Yes.
I had a card in on the ULDC.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see it.
Come on up.
Ms. Larson, would you like to speak now?
Yes.
Come on up.
You already voted on it.
Ma'am, it's up to you.
I will say the same thing I said to the attorney. I haven't ever been, I don't know, I was away for a few years, but never have we been ignored so much as we have been in the last several months. This is new to me because he's trying to tell me we are being heard, and my card was completely ignored on the ULDC. So that's hard for me to do. At the very first meeting I came back to, I was denied comment on number 15. It was another thing with completely separate item from the 27 things till midnight we were here. But it's really sad because the ULDC, I have some really sad concerns about it because you're changing parking. like in the rural and exurban tier, it's 9 feet, and then in the city, it's 10 feet. And if anything, out where we live, we drive big trucks. They are wider. You should have seen me trying to park my truck in your parking lot today. You know, the spots are smaller. They did. George said that years ago. We'll make the spots smaller. We'll make the lanes smaller. Well, in the rural and exurban tier, we need more than 9 feet. It's just stacking generators and everything that was done, because everything in the ULDC was to accommodate something that's going to be happening on Pike Road. You know, when I read the Pike Road stuff, I'm trying, commissioners, I really do try to understand the agenda. I really try to read it, and I try to get the numbers right, and I read it, and it's making less is not making it better for your constituents. Smaller lanes, we're not driving Kias. A lot of us aren't. We're not driving tiny cars. And there's a couple things changing in the ULDC that it's just added language that makes it harder for us.
Ms. Larson, just for the record, are you speaking on about 14, the ULDC revisions?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. All right, have you read it?
Yes, and that
Okay.
was where the
It has
parking
nothing to
places
do
were.
with trucks. It has to
No,
do.
no, I'm talking
with
about the
this-
width.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Sorry.
It has to do with modifying parking requirements
Yes.
in common areas, but I appreciate your opinion, and thank you for coming
Well,
up
it
to
did
speak.
go from, it's 9 feet and 10 feet now. It is written there. I didn't imagine it.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Weiss?
Yeah, I just want to clarify for the record, what was in front of us is a permission to advertise a possible change. It is not making the change, it is a permission to advertise it. And what is included in that change in the reduction of parking has to do with recreation areas within planned unit developments. It has nothing to do with public parking. This is in private areas. These are not publicly accessible areas. So that's, and on the issue of the generators, to be able to make sure that people who install generators have the ability to use them because they don't get flooded is, I think, probably a really good thing. But no decisions being made today. All that's happening today was we were granting permission to advertise this. It'll come back in front of the board. There'll be a full presentation, and the public can weigh in on that at that time. But I would really appreciate that, you know, there was, the allegation was made that somehow we were doing something, which is, so do you want us to advertise it or not to advertise it? But I never heard a comment either for or against that.
Thank you, Commissioner Weiss. All right, now we're going on to Stui. You're going to give us a presentation on number 15.
Yes, before you, to make it really brief, this is a consideration for the board to initiate a text amendment to the comp plan, specifically the housing element, to remove or to revise the 25 minimum acre requirements for farm workers housing. As you recall, this is following up on board direction last year for the ULDC to be changed to look at opportunities for farm workers housing. And in order to do this, we will need to have this text amendment. So our recommendation is for approval of the initiation.
Very good, thank you. Are there any questions or comments to staff on this issue? Commissioner Brack, did you put your light on?
No.
Okay, just wanted to be sure. No, none, and we have public comment. Commissioner Weiss, could you start them, please?
Yes, we do. Alexandria Larson.
Since we're under oath, I might as well clarify myself. I will clarify myself. I'm against changes. I'm a cave person. That's what I was called today. I'm very sad, Commissioner, but when we do something in this county, no matter if we say we're only going to do it right here, it's only going to be on this left freckle, it affects the entire county later on. It always does. It is used against us. Once we vote on something, it expands. I don't care what it is in this county, but I've watched it over the years. So if you want to be mad at me because I'm questioning it right this second, it's because that's what happens. Even though you say it's only in this little corner, it affects the entire county, and it always has. Because the next applicant can come in and say, well, you did it over here on the left freckle. I want it on the right freckle. I won't finish the freckle part, what I usually say to people, because I'll try to be discreet today. But anyway, the farming, are we going to be going down in acreage? We're going to put farm hands on 1 acre, 5 acres, 10 acres. Is there a limit? Because it was 25 acres. So that's my question. How low do we go?
Thank you, Ms. Larson. Commissioner Weiss, do we have any other cards? Very good. Are there any questions or comments to the board at this time, to staff at this time by the board? Seeing none, I think we are ready for a vote. Do I have a first? I'm looking on the left side this time. I have first from Commissioner Barnett, a second by Commissioner Weiss. Did you wish to say something? Okay. All those for, anybody opposed, see that it passes unanimously, 6-0. Now, upon the recommendation of the district commissioner, we are going to revisit one of the items that was continued, not postponed, but continued on the agenda. And staff?
Yes, item number 3, Project Charlie, is back up on the agenda, and I see the agent walking in. I don't know where you wanted to go back to this conversation as part of this hearing. If there was been any counsel?
If I may, maybe we could start with disclosures, because I think we didn't do that the first time around. Did for number 3?
I don't think number 3. Was part of the consent.
That wasn't on the consent. It was removed from the consent.
Well, let's do it again.
We'll do it again. It doesn't hurt.
Why
Just in
not?
case.
This has been an interesting morning. So
Better safe.
let's do the disclosures on item number 3 that was removed from the consent agenda. Commissioner Barnett?
Thank you, Mayor. Item 3, no disclosures.
Commissioner Weiss?
Thank you, Mayor. On item number 3, I had verbal communication with Ramsey Buckley. My staff spoke with Joan Machado, and no email correspondence.
Okay. Commissioner Barnett? Commissioner Bernard?
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. No disclosure on item 3.
Commissioner Baxter?
No disclosures, Mayor.
Vice Mayor?
None, thank you.
And none by the mayor's office. However, I do want to make sure that I put on the record on the item number 4 on the consent agenda was a Chabad. Wasn't sure if I had mentioned I had meetings with Bradley Miller and receive and file emails. Okay, very good. Council, can we proceed? Very good, thank you. Okay, so we are now on item number 3, and if I could have the applicant come forward. Thank you, sir. Go right ahead.
Of course. Good morning again. Joan Machado with WGI here representing the applicant. I would like to say that while we were at site and discussed the item with the adjacent neighborhood, I think we agreed to the speed bumps, and we are happy to work with land development and traffic staff as to the placement and where that happens, and then we can do that at time of fund of the RO. We also had discussions with staff that will trigger additional conditions that unfortunately I do not have the time to communicate to the operators and property owners and such. So at this time, if anything, I would like to take a postponement to next month's BCC so that we have the time to work those conditions out with staff and the property owner, should the board allow.
Very good. I'd like to thank Commissioner Weiss. I think that this was a very respectful way and smart way to handle this issue. And I'd like to thank you, Mr. Applicant, lobbyist, for that, and as well as for council for the residential areas. So I'm going to recognize the district commissioner at this time, and then I'll leave it up to staff for the timing. Commissioner Weiss?
Yeah, thank you very much. And based on the request of the applicant, I would like to go ahead and motion to postpone this item until, or would it be a continuance?
Postponement until, what's the date?
September 26th, I believe, is our next meeting.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
September
postpone
26th.
till September 26th.
Very well.
Very good. Thank you, sir. And thank you.
And thank you
for
so much
working.
for working together with the neighborhood as well.
I can tell you, we all appreciate it very much, and especially working these things out is what we all want. And I kudos to the District Commissioner Weiss. We have a first, I have a second by the Vice Mayor. All those for, anybody opposed? See that it passes unanimously 6-0.
Thank you.
See you in September. Isn't that a song? Okay.
It should be.
Vice Mayor will sing it for us at this time? Okay. I think that, let me look. And I have to say, I want to thank my colleagues. It's been a little complicated for us. I know staff understands these things when it comes to the complexities of zoning, but we struggled along with it, and I appreciate my colleagues' understanding of it. Okay. Do we have comments by the zoning director?
No comment, thank you.
The executive director, Mr. Rutter, or deputy county administrator.
I'll speak for the executive director and myself, no comments. How about that?
Whitney, do we have any comments? I apologize. Okay. Commissioners Baxter?
Thank you, Mayor. Are we going to have just comments now, or do you want to? Never mind. I'm just going to let the board know or inform you that I will be having surgery tomorrow, so I'll be asking next week to attend our comp plan meeting via Zoom.
Oh, well, you have safe, there's nothing such as minor surgery, is there?
I don't think so, but
All right. Our thoughts are with you.
Is that illegal?
just giving you the heads up. Thanks, staff, for everything. Thank you for putting this all together and keeping us on track.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Bernard?
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. Just real quick, Commissioner Woodwards is not here due to attending her mother-in-law, I think mother-in-law's death. But tomorrow is her birthday, so we want to wish her a happy birthday. Thank you.
By the way, we're going to have a little surprise birthday party for her when she gets back. But don't tell anybody, right? Shh.
Hopefully she's not watching.
We'll make sure that you're back for the cake, all right, Commissioner? Commissioner Weiss.
Yes, and I'm going to ask staff if you can, we have a brief update. There is a pending item coming up regarding potential development in the Jonathan Dickinson Park, as well as a number of state parks, and I'd like to be updated while we're together, potentially to be able to take some, or give staff direction regarding a letter.
And Mayor, if I could, yes, this is an issue that's been fast evolving. I think Deb Drum, our director, became aware of this about a day and a half ago. We've been moving very quickly and has expanded. She's been working with Legislative Affairs Office, Casey and Ed, as well as Todd, and provided a great bit of help. I asked Deb to come up and just give us a brief description on what's involved, and I think we would appreciate direction from the board to prepare a letter for the mayor's signature to send along to DEP in opposition of the action. But we'll let Deb fill you in.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Almost afternoon. My name is Deb Drum. I'm the Director of Environmental Resources Management. So let me share with you the bottom line up front with some of the facts that we know. FDEP issued a press release on Monday, August 19th, announcing the 24-25 Great Outdoors Initiative to increase public access, recreation, and lodging at Florida State Parks, which had a stated goal to expand public access, increase outdoor activities, and provide new lodging options across Florida state parks. The result of that effort is a proposal to modify Jonathan Dickinson State Park's unit management plan to allow the development of publicly accessible golf course facilities, related amenities, and facilities to support operations within Jonathan Dickinson State Park. To do so, they will significantly harm, if not completely destroy, scrub habitat that's located within Jonathan Dickinson State Park. You may be familiar with the term scrub habitat, which is imperiled both globally and in Florida because of its rarity and vulnerability to extinction, and contains many rare and endemic plant species that only exist in our region. FDEP announced a public meeting and workshop on this unit management plan amendment to be held They announced it 2 days ago, and it's to be held in Stuart, Florida, next Tuesday, August 27th, from 3 to 4 p.m. We are requesting that the Board of County Commissioners of Palm Beach County provide direction on whether to take a position on the proposal by the Florida Department of Environmental Protection's Division of Recreation and Parks to build a golf course within Jonathan Dickinson State Park and the directly connected watershed of the Loxahatchee River, which affects us. It is staff's recommendation that we take a position opposing this change to the park's unit management plan and communicate that position at the public meeting next Tuesday. I have a lot of detail backing up all of the reasons why this is problematic. It may have been very good intentions on behalf of the state government to have accessible public lands. And we feel that this is a short-sighted way to achieve that goal that will result in direct destruction to things that are supposed to be resource-based. This is really destroying the resource of the resource-based recreation. So I'm happy to answer any other questions, but those are the facts as we know them for now.
Very good. Thank you. Commissioner Baxter, did you have your light on?
Yes, I had questions. If they're having a workshop on August 27th, why are we opposing it prior to getting all the information?
The workshop is to get feedback on information that they have released. And so it is about getting feedback on the golf course proposal. So they've already released a map, which I have copies of. I'm happy to put a memo together for the board outlining all of these details. But it's a 2-page amendment to their plan, maybe even a page and a quarter.
Now, is this the only park this is happening to?
No, this is happening, as Commissioner Weiss or somebody just mentioned, this is happening across the state at a number of different state parks. Ours is the only one. Ours is a little bit more intense with the golf course use in like a watershed of a nationally designated, federally designated wild and scenic river. Others have lodging, pickleball courts, disc golf, other uses such as additional lodging, things like that.
I mean, everything I've seen, our governor has been very friendly to environmental issues, water issues, you name it, go down the list. He has been very supportive. So I'm trying to figure out why. Why do they feel what is motivating this?
I think that your question is a good question. I think there's a lot of people out there asking it. The public, I don't have an answer. You're correct. We've had unprecedented funding for Everglades under this governor. There's absolutely no doubt. Again, I'm believing that maybe there was an intention there, that the implementation of that intention is maybe not as aligned with environmental preservation. I'm not really sure I can answer your question. That's really not mine to answer, so I don't know. But I can say that the proposal that we've seen has a very long list and a wide variety of concerns. And we're not alone. The public is definitely speaking on this. People only became aware of this maybe Monday. And in that period of time, there's a Facebook page called Protect Jonathan Dickinson State Park that's gone from creation on Monday to 25,000 members as I stand here, just in a couple of days.
Have any conversations taken place? Or are we going off of strictly what's in the press release?
No, I've talked to FDEP. I've talked to the Jonathan Dickinson State Park director. We've emailed back and forth, but they are staying very much to the press release and the limited information that's been provided at this point in time.
Thank you, Deb.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Commissioner. Vice Mayor Marino?
Thank you. Thank you. My inbox, my phone, text messages have been overwhelmed with this, and there isn't a single person that has said, yes, we want this. I even got a call from Congressman Mast yesterday who said, I know nothing about this, and there are other Florida legislators that have said the same thing. This was a surprise to everyone. The meeting is next Tuesday. Wednesday?
It's next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday at 3 o'clock up in Stuart. I know we have a meeting that day. I am going to plan to leave to attend. I do want to send a shout out to all of our residents. This is not the county that is doing this. This is the state. We have a lot of environmentally sensitive and protected lands in our county that this will, and I think I would have the support of the board when I say this will not be happening on all of that land that we have set aside in our county. As a county, we can do our best to say this is something that we don't want, especially since, as you said, Deb, this is the Loxahatchee River. We actually have I sit on a committee for the Loxahatchee River for its protection because it is one of only two scenic rivers in the state, designated scenic rivers in the state of Florida. It is up to us to have our voices heard. The interesting thing is that it is only a 1-hour meeting. I don't know how many people are going to be there from the public. So I will be one of those folks that will be there from the public to say, can you possibly give us a little bit more information? Actually, that would be a lot more information as to the need. And I'm a professional golfer, so I understand the need for golf courses. I just don't understand them on the need in our environmentally sensitive areas. And I may be speaking out of school. I know that where they're designated, it is between the railroad. There are certain locations in the park, but this is not a passive use. And what would we have to do to build a golf course is also not passive use. So being a professional golfer, being someone that has always said, we're at that point in our county where we have the right amount of golf courses. There's just so many more questions than there are answers. And I know that we, as a board, would be interested in getting more information, and I do believe that a letter from our board, as was brought up by Commissioner Weiss, saying that the intrusion is not something that we're looking for. And we do need to continue to protect the Loxahatchee River and all of those things that feed to it. So I guess direction would be, and I'm looking at Patrick.
Direction, authorize us to write a letter for the mayor's signature, and we will make sure that that gets communicated as soon as the mayor authors it, and forward that to DEP.
Okay.
Commissioner Weiss?
Yeah, thank you. And thank you, Deb, for sharing that with us. I think there's a number of concerns that I have about this as well. I mean, we have spent millions and millions of dollars to try and clean up the Lake Worth Lagoon and restore the Lake Worth Lagoon. We have invested millions and millions of dollars to the Loxahatchee River, and to think about the potential of reversing that I don't understand it. I think I can't comment on the intentions of what was being done, but I can tell you a few things. It's being reported right now that Jimmy Petronis, our CFO, Wilton Simpson, our Ag Commissioner, are both very concerned and upset about this. Partly too, the process itself. I mean, we learned about it, and I know you said there was something posted, a press release, but we've never received anything official from DEP, but I did start to see something yesterday with changes like this and allowing 1 hour, not even a week, for people to be able to get the information, and then allowing only a 1 hour period of time in the middle of the afternoon up in Stewart for our area. That's not a good process for something as dramatic of a change that's being proposed to a natural area, such as putting in a golf course. And so I think I do appreciate and support Vice Mayor Marino, but this impacts us all. Beyond just District 1, and so I really do appreciate you taking a leadership role on this for us.
I will. Vice Mayor Marino, go ahead.
Thank you. I also just received an email from Aubrey Arrington, who is with the, he is chair of the Loxahatchee River Management Coordinating Council at this point in time.
He's not chair, but he's a member.
Member, past chair, immediate past chair. And it also is from 100, it is referenced with 105 other emails attached to this, and basically it is opposition. So I'm just passing that along. We're not the only ones that are concerned. Martin County, I'm sure, is weighing in on this, and I do think that we should have our voices heard strongly. Thank you.
Anybody else wish to speak on this issue? Okay, I will do whatever is necessary, and I will get on the phone this afternoon with Jimmy Petronas and Agricultural Secretary Wilton Simpson. Let me see, and then I'll report back to you, Mr. Rutter and Ms. Drum, and then we'll put together a letter. But we need to have our opinions heard by those in the cabinet and the head of agriculture as well. This is a very important issue for us, and I'm looking at my excellent team in the back of the chamber here when it comes to lobbying. It's difficult. But let's go ahead and let's see what we can do to put a team together from Palm Beach and Tallahassee that we can put together our opposition, and we will be heard.
And if anybody wants any more details or would like to sit down with me
Yes.
to discuss this, I'm available, and I can share with you some of the more specific points of where we have concerns.
Would you be able to submit something in writing to all of the commissioners
Happy to.
together?
Yes, I will do a memo to the board so you can understand
Good, that
all
would
of
be
the
good.
details.
And we're going to keep you in the loop, and now we'll put something together to show our strong opposition to this.
Thank you.
Very good. Okay. Anything else? It's been an interesting morning. Have I reached out to everybody for comments? Does anybody else have any comments?
Yes.
Commissioner Barnett.
Thank you very much, Mayor. A quick update on the 6th Avenue Bridge in Lake Worth. Wish it were good news, but at least the Florida Department of Transportation did give the bridge certification, but there was an additional delay we received from Engineering and Public Works. Director David Ricks let us know that the August 19th anticipated opening was going to be delayed because of additional damage that was found, not due to anything by the county, but the subcontractor. I guess there was a stormwater pipe lying directly under the roadway surface was damaged, and it was fixed? Is it still being fixed?
Finalized.
Well, we were told that there are no guarantees as to when that bridge will be opened. They're trying to make sure it's safe.
I'm not driving on it.
They were hoping for a date before the opening of Palm Beach State College. However, David Ricks said he'd know more by tomorrow, so I'll be on the phone with his office tomorrow to see what further updates there may be, but he said nothing is guaranteed. They're working to make the bridge opening as safe as possible, but they got to fix that pipe.
Okay.
I'll have more updates next week, hopefully on Tuesday.
Thank you so much, Commissioner. If there's no other further business before the board, we are officially adjourned. Thank you.